Hey everyone, and welcome back to AI for the People. I'm your host, and today we're diving deep into the latest AI news. It's like every day there's some crazy new headline that makes you feel like we're living in a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're living in a future sometimes, doesn't it?
Keeping up with it all can feel kind of overwhelming, honestly.
Absolutely. It's moving so fast that even for folks like me, who work in the field, it can be tough to stay on top of everything.
So that's why we're here, right? To break down the biggest stories and make sense of it all. It's like we're watching a news show called AI Daily News or something.
I like it. I'm ready to be your AI news anchor.
Perfect. So let's jump right in. Our top story today, Google is changing its AI principles, and people are freaking out. They used to be pretty strict about not using AI for weapons, right?
Right. Their initial principles were all about avoiding harm and making sure AI was used for good. But this update, well, it specifically allows for AI to be used in weapons development.
Okay, so that's a pretty big change. Why is everyone so worried about it?
It boils down to this thing called the dual-use dilemma. Basically, a lot of tech can be used for good or for bad, right?
Sure, like GPS can help you find your way around, but it can also be used to, target missiles.
Exactly. So even if AI is developed to something good, like, healthcare, it could be adapted for something a lot less beneficial.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about it like that before. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom in the world of AI, right? We've also got some pretty amazing breakthroughs happening.
Oh, absolutely. We're seeing some mind-blowing advancements in machine learning. For example, have you heard of this new torque clustering algorithm?
It sounds familiar, but I can't say I've been keeping tabs on every single algorithm out there. What's so special about this one?
This is a big one because it lets AI systems learn independently without any human input. AI is basically starting to teach itself.
Whoa, hold on, AI teaching itself. That sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi novel. I mean, what does that even mean for the future of AI development?
Well, it means AI could start uncovering patterns and making connections that humans might miss. And way faster, too. It's a huge step toward AI systems that can truly think for themselves.
Okay, now that is mind-blowing. And speaking of mind-blowing stuff, I hear DeepMind, those folks over at Google's AI research lab have been busy too.
Oh, yeah, they've been making waves with Gemini, which is supposedly their most capable AI model yet.
And what about that Project Astra thing I keep hearing about?
That's all about building a universal AI helper.
A universal AI helper. What would that even look like?
Imagine an AI that just integrates seamlessly into your life, helps you with everything, scheduling appointments, managing emails, even controlling your smart home. That's what Project Astra's aiming for.
Okay, that actually sounds pretty handy. But let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about AI chatbots. Are we really at the point where they could replace therapists?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? There was this study recently that showed ChatGPT getting better ratings for its therapy responses than actual human therapists.
Wait, seriously? People preferred the chatbot's advice.
In this specific study, yes. But it's important to remember therapy is super complex, right? It's years of training, human empathy, building a relationship, things a chatbot just can't replicate.
Right, right. So this study was more about, specific responses to specific scenarios, not a whole therapeutic journey.
Exactly. It's a good reminder to, be critical of what we read and not jump to conclusions, especially with something as complex as AI.
Totally agree. Speaking of headlines that caught my eye, what about that whole Elon Musk OpenAI thing? He offered a ridiculous amount of money and they said, no way.
It was a pretty bold move. He reportedly offered $97.4 billion for the company, but OpenAI's CEO wasn't interested.
$97.4 billion. What could have possibly motivated such a huge offer?
Well, OpenAI is a big deal in the AI world, right? Especially with ChatGPT and DALL-E, they're really shaping the field. It's possible Musk wanted more control over where AI is heading.
So what does this rejection say about OpenAI's vision for the future? They must be pretty committed to their own path.
It seems that way. They've been really vocal about their mission to make sure AI benefits all of humanity. They might have seen Musk's offer as a threat to that.
Okay, so now that we've covered some of the big picture stuff, let's take a look at how AI is impacting different industries. Shall we start with healthcare? Seems like there's a ton happening there.
Oh, tons. AI is being used to diagnose things like brain aneurysms with incredible accuracy, and it's revolutionizing how we detect genetic mutations, which could lead to earlier and more effective treatments for a whole range of diseases.
And it's not just about the fancy new tech, right? The American Medical Association is saying doctors are getting more and more excited about using AI in their practice.
Right. And that's not surprising. AI can handle a lot of the administrative stuff that bogs doctors down, gives them more time to focus on their patients. That's good news for everyone.
Healthcare isn't the only industry being transformed by AI, though. What's happening in finance?
Well, AI is already automating a ton of financial tasks like fraud detection and risk management. Things are getting done more efficiently and securely. And of course, we're seeing a lot of chatbots and virtual assistants popping up to improve customer experience.
And it's not just private companies paying attention either. The UK Treasury Committee is launching a whole inquiry into how AI is being used in banking and other financial services.
It really shows how seriously governments are taking this. They know AI is going to have a huge impact on the financial landscape, and they want to understand both the benefits and the potential challenges.
That's really interesting. It seems like no matter where you look these days, AI is having some kind of impact. What about manufacturing? Is that being affected too?
Absolutely. AI is being used to optimize manufacturing processes in so many ways. From predicting when machines need maintenance to streamlining supply chains, it's helping companies produce goods more efficiently and for less money.
And the U.S. government seems to be taking notice too. Didn't the House Subcommittee on Commerce hold a hearing on the role of AI in manufacturing?
Yep, they did. There's definitely growing interest in using AI to boost American manufacturing and make it more competitive globally.
So it sounds like AI is touching nearly every corner of the economy these days. But what about security? That's one area I'm particularly curious about.
Well, AI is playing a major role in the development of self-driving cars, helping them see and navigate their environment. And it's being used to detect deepfakes, too, those incredibly realistic fake videos that are getting harder and harder to spot.
And I can't imagine cybersecurity without AI these days. It's crucial for detecting and preventing all sorts of digital threats.
Absolutely. AI is becoming essential for keeping our data and systems safe in this increasingly interconnected world.
So we've covered a lot of ground, but it seems like with AI, there's always more to learn.
There really is. It's constantly evolving. But before we go too big picture, let's zoom in on a few smaller developments, kind of like a rapid fire round.
Ooh, I like it. Hit me with those AI nuggets of knowledge.
All right, first up, Aptronic, the company making those humanoid robots we talked about earlier, they just raised a cool $350 million.
$350 million dollars for robots that look like us. That's wild. Makes you wonder, are we about to see these things everywhere?
It's definitely a step towards bringing humanoid robots into our everyday lives. Imagine them working in like dangerous environments or assisting the elderly or even performing surgery.
Okay, I have to admit the possibilities are pretty mind-boggling. But what's next on the rapid fire list? What else is catching your eye?
This one's about cybersecurity in the age of quantum computers. A company called Quasecure just got $28 million to develop their quantum cybersecurity platform.
Quantum computing. Okay, confession time. I'm a little fuzzy on what that actually is. Could you give us like a quick explainer? And why is cybersecurity so important in this whole quantum realm?
Sure. So imagine a computer that can do calculations millions of times faster than anything we have today. That's the basic idea behind quantum computing. It has huge potential, but here's the problem. These super fast computers could crack the encryption we use to protect our data like it's nothing.
So all our passwords and financial information could be vulnerable.
Exactly. That's why companies like Quasecure are working on new security measures, ones that can actually withstand these quantum attacks.
That's a little bit scary, honestly. It's amazing how one tech leak can create a whole new set of problems to solve. Okay, ready for the next rapid fire fact.
This one's kind of a puzzle for the AI experts. Researchers are finding that AI agents that are trained in simulations sometimes do better than the ones trained in the real world.
Wait, really? That doesn't make sense. Wouldn't training in the real world be more effective since that's where the AI will actually be used?
You'd think so, right? But it seems like that controlled environment of a simulation might let AI learn more efficiently, at least in some cases. It's something researchers are still trying to wrap their heads around.
Fascinating. Okay, what's the last bit of news you've got for us?
This one's about AI and the environment. Researchers have built an AI system that can create these crazy, realistic satellite images of future flooding.
Wow, that sounds incredibly useful. That could be a game changer for, like, disaster preparedness.
Absolutely. Imagine seeing exactly which areas are going to be hit by floods weeks or even months in advance. You could evacuate people, get resources in place, potentially save lives and property.
That's a really powerful example of how AI can be used to make a real difference in the world.
It is. It shows how this technology can be used for more than just, automating tasks or making businesses more efficient. It has the potential to solve some of humanity's biggest challenges.
Okay, so those are some pretty amazing rapid-fire developments. But something's been on my mind throughout this whole discussion. What about AI in agriculture? I feel like that's an area we haven't really touched on yet.
You're right, we haven't. AI is actually playing a bigger and bigger role in how we grow our food. Everything from autonomous tractors and drones to systems that monitor crop health and predict yields. AI is changing the face of agriculture in some pretty amazing ways.
So tell me more. What are some of the most exciting things happening in AI-powered agriculture? I'm all ears.
One of the most promising areas is precision agriculture. It's all about using AI to fine-tune every aspect of farming. planting, fertilizing, irrigation, pest control, you name it. AI can analyze tons of data like soil conditions, weather patterns, crop growth rates, and make super precise recommendations. It helps farmers get more yield and reduce waste.
So it's like AI is acting as a super smart farm advisor.
Exactly. And the benefits go beyond just efficiency. Precision agriculture can also lessen the environmental impact of farming by, minimizing the use of water fertilizers and pesticides.
That's good news for everyone, the planet, and us consumers, too. Are there any specific examples that come to mind, like specific ways AI is being used in agriculture that really stand out?
There are quite a few. One that's really interesting is the use of AI-powered robots for things like weeding and harvesting. These robots can work around the clock without breaks, which is huge for farmers who are often short-staffed.
That sounds amazing. But what about the potential downsides of using robots in agriculture? Are people worried about job losses or the impact on rural communities?
Those are really important questions, and we need to talk about them as AI becomes more common in agriculture. It's true some jobs might become automated, but it's also likely that new jobs and opportunities will pop up in areas like AI development and maintenance data analysis and precision agriculture consulting.
So it's not necessarily about robots taking over, but more about a shift in the types of skills that will be needed.
Exactly. It's important to see AI as a tool that can help us and create new possibilities, not as a threat to our jobs.
That's a good way to think about it. It seems like with any new technology, there's always a period of adjustment.
Definitely. And we need to have thoughtful conversations about how AI is going to affect society so we can make sure the transition is smooth and everyone benefits in the end.
Well said. Now, we've talked a lot about all the cool stuff AI can do, but what about the potential downsides? Are there any areas where we need to be extra careful about how we develop and use AI?
There definitely are. One of the biggest concerns is the potential for AI to be used in ways that could hurt or exploit people, whether it's intentional or not.
Can you give me some examples of what you mean?
Sure. Think about AI systems that are used for things like hiring decisions or lending or even law enforcement. If they're not designed and monitored really carefully, they could just make existing biases worse. We've already seen cases where AI systems have discriminated against certain groups based on things like race, gender, or socioeconomic status.
That's a really crucial point. It seems like it's not just about the technology itself, but also about the human choices that go into making and using it.
You got it. We have to make sure that AI is developed and used in a way that's ethical, fair, and equitable. That means carefully thinking about potential biases as well as constantly monitoring and evaluating these systems to make sure they're working the way they're supposed to.
So it sounds like we need a combination of both technological solutions and human oversight to deal with the risks of AI.
Absolutely. It's not enough to just build powerful AI systems. We also need to think deeply about the social and ethical implications of using them and set up clear guidelines and regulations to make sure they're used responsibly.
Wow, there's a lot to think about. But it's clear that AI is a powerful force that can really shape our future.
It is, and it's up to all of us to engage in these conversations about how we want to shape that future and make sure AI is used for good.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot today from the latest headlines to the ethical stuff, but before we wrap up, I'd love to get your take on one last question. Where do you see AI going in the next 5 to 10 years? What are you most excited about?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think we're going to see AI become even more woven into our lives, from how we work and talk to each other to how we get healthcare and even how we enjoy entertainment.
Can you give me some concrete examples? I always love a good glimpse into the future.
In healthcare, I think we'll see AI playing an even bigger role in diagnosis, treatment, and drug discovery. We might even see personalized medicine become a reality where treatments are tailored to each person's genes.
That's amazing. What about other industries? Where do you see AI making the biggest splash?
Transportation, for sure. With self-driving cars and trucks becoming more and more common, this could completely change how we move people and goods, making it safer, more efficient, and better for the planet.
And what about the way we work? I know there's a lot of talk about AI replacing jobs. But are there also opportunities for AI to create new jobs and make us more productive?
Absolutely. I think AI will take over a lot of the repetitive, boring tasks that take up our time now, freeing us up to focus on more creative and strategic stuff. We'll probably see new jobs pop up in fields like AI development, data science, and AI ethics.
That's reassuring to hear.
It is. It's a really exciting time to be working in AI. There's so much potential to make a positive impact on the world.
Wow, my head is spinning. We've covered so much, from AI teaching itself to robots working on farms to AI predicting natural disasters. It's incredible.
It really shows you just how much AI is doing, and how much it's changing the world already.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to make sure our listeners are clear on what it all means for them. Like what they should take away from all this.
Good point. Let's sum it all up. What are the key takeaways?
First off, I think it's pretty obvious that AI isn't just some sci-fi fantasy anymore. It's here. It's happening now. And it's already changing things in big ways.
Totally. And it's only going to get more ingrained in our lives in the years to come. We're talking about everything, how we work, how we travel, how we manage our money, even how we get healthcare.
But with all this amazing potential comes responsibility, right? We talked about the ethical side of AI and how important it is to make sure it's used for good, not for bad.
That's absolutely key. We can't forget about things like potential biases and privacy issues and the possibility of AI being used in harmful ways. It's not just about the tech itself, it's about the choices we make as humans about how to use it.
So for someone listening out there who might be feeling overwhelmed by all this, what's the one thing you'd want them to remember?
I'd say the most important thing to remember is this. The future of AI isn't set in stone. We're all actively shaping it right now with every decision we make. So stay informed, stay involved, and keep asking questions. The future of AI is in our hands.
That's a really powerful thought. And, it reminds me of something else we talked about. There are a lot of worries around AI, but there's also a lot to be excited about.
For sure, this technology could solve some of the biggest problems we face, like disease and climate change. It's up to us to use it for good.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I hope everyone listening feels a sense of curiosity and excitement about AI, but also a sense of responsibility. We need to help shape this future so it benefits everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. AI is full of possibilities, and it's our job to explore those possibilities thoughtfully and with compassion.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of AI. We'll be back soon with another deep dive, so make sure you stay tuned.